Hello, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose. I talk to people in the business community, city government, and the schools. Tom Strong is with us today, closest to me, Mike Bowser, and they are affiliated and trying to organize Balloons Over Wadsworth, and I guess it's coming right around the corner, Tom.
It is right around the corner, August 4th and 5th. August 4th, downtown Wadsworth for their first Friday. And August 5th, we have a lot of activity scheduled for out at the airport.
And this has been a Wadsworth tradition for several years. I remember my daughters going to the event and really enjoying to see those bright balloons.
Yeah, I had talked to Cesar Carino last year, and just to get a little insight about the history of it. Mm-hmm. And the best that he could pin down was probably 1978-ish is probably when it started. Tony Perry spearheaded that with I think it was called the Great Wadsworth Balloon Races. And at the time, I think Cesar said that they had about 30 balloons out there one year. And so last year we tried to get it off the ground, and it just didn't happen because of the roundabout construction project out on 57. So the city said, for safety reasons, let's move it to 2023, and so now it's on the calendar.
So how much planning did this take? It doesn't sound like it was something that was put together in a couple weeks.
No, this has been 15 months about.
Wow.
A lot of work. And we have partnered with Inspire Aviation, Mike Bowser and their team, who is responsible for the Props and Pistons Festival over at Akron-Fulton Airport. I could let him touch on that, but we're really happy to partner with their 501c3.
What other groups are involved in this event?
Well, we have there's a lot. We have Main Street Wadsworth is taking care of the first Friday for us, which is, they always do a great job downtown. And we have about 16 sponsors at either the balloon level or event level. Summa Health is one of our biggest backers this year.
I think we have a video there that shows some of the sponsors. And
Summa Health and everyone else listed on there has sponsored a balloon, stepped up to do that, and so they will sponsor their balloon with a banner, and they'll have signage down at the airport, and really on our website to promote their business. You know, that's our goal, is to not be takers. You know, that we're trying to work in partnership with our sponsors and anybody who's helping us out.
Mike, what is your exact role in this activity?
Mine's pretty complex here, you know. Right. No, not much. So we have a nonprofit group called Inspire Aviation. It was created in 2013 at the Wadsworth Airport. We resurrected a small fly-in once the balloon events kind of drifted away in the late 2000s there. So we were trying to get people involved in the airport, specifically youth. So it started as a Boy Scout venturing crew, had a small fly-in at the airport. It got more popular, a little bit more growth, and it grew to the point where in 2016 we moved it to Akron-Fulton Airport. And we've always missed Wadsworth. We've missed the community feel. When we moved to Akron-Fulton Airport, we started working with a lot of the inner city youth over there, some of the underprivileged youth groups and stuff like that. So our whole mission throughout the year is to go to schools, youth groups, and promote aviation and STEM education as a whole. So when Tom's team needed a nonprofit to partner with and plan this event and execute it and get all the waivers from the FAA, things like that, stuff that we were already accustomed to doing, we're more than happy to partner up with him and his volunteers. And then also specifically our organization and our entire committee at both events, our Props and Pistons and Akron, the Balloons Over Wadsworth here, are all 100% volunteer, which is really, really hard to do. You can imagine how hard it is. We were talking earlier, how hard it is to get employees sometimes for a company to pay them. It's really, really hard to get volunteers. So that's one of the things both events really need help with, is more volunteers.
Yeah, trying to get a bus driver or umpires. I've done a few games by myself. Don't know where the rest of my colleagues are.
Exactly.
What conditions are very favorable to have such a balloon experience?
Really a day like most August days. Nice sunny day, a little bit of clouds, a little bit of wind. You would think no wind would be perfect, but I found out that's not the case, because I was going to go on a balloon ride with my wife and there was no wind, and they said we'd go straight up and we'd hang out for 10 minutes and come straight back down. So that's not very fun. Most of the time, the balloons like to fly early morning, late evening, once the air cools down, because you want the difference in the outside air temperature and the hot air in the balloon. You don't want to fly on a 100-degree day because you're not going to fly very well. So yeah, the cooler evening air, which is why we typically do our balloon event will launch right around 6:30 at night, depending on the winds and the weather and everything like that. But safety and the operation of the balloon is definitely paramount to staying on that 6:30 timeline.
Will all the balloons take off from the Wadsworth Airport?
They will, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all 12 balloons that we have scheduled right now will leave, and then they will come back later that night. Tom can talk a little bit about those evening activities. And then they'll also fly on Friday during the first Friday. They'll fly over downtown.
Tom, we have a lot of events here in Wadsworth. First Friday, as you mentioned, this would be another. We have the Blue Tip. We have Taste of Wadsworth just ended the other day. And that's not even counting all the school concerts, band and choir and football and certainly all sorts of other plays. This just adds to the flavor of Wadsworth, doesn't it?
It sure does. I've said in meeting with the city and with Main Street, and just when I talk to people, trying to make Wadsworth an entertainment destination, and bringing balloons, hot air balloons to Wadsworth, just enhances that. So much so, New Day Cleveland's coming down on August 4th because they saw value to their viewers to share what we're doing out at the airport. The other thing just in terms of the flights, on Friday night, once they decide the wind direction, the whole thing is for the balloons to fly over Wadsworth. So if the wind's coming out of the north, they'll go to the north end and hopefully just fly right over downtown. We'll also have the Remax balloon will inflate Friday night in the back of the Huntington parking lot. And then this year, in addition, we've got 3 remote control hot air balloons that are about 24 feet tall. And they'll be flying so the public can get a view at a new hobby that's out there.
Where would the best place to go ahead and see those balloons? Or, again, it depends a little bit, you said, on the wind and the weather, but where would be a possible good place to go ahead and see some of the balloons?
I think it's called downwind.
Okay, right.
But Saturday night it's to be at the airport.
Okay.
Because we're going to have a stage. We have 2 bands. So Akron Big Band will start the show at 3 o'clock and we'll play for about 2.5 hours. Then the balloons will start to go out to the runway or to the taxiway to group to inflate, weather permitting. And then after they lift off, then another band up to 11, which is a classic rock and roll band, will play from approximately 7 to 9 o'clock. We also have a kids zone that'll be set up for the kids. We've got, I think it's 5 or 6 inflatables that the kids can come out and play on. We have a vendor village this year, sponsored by Jazzercise. So currently we have 21 vendors signed up, kind of showing their goods and services from the Wadsworth and surrounding areas. We still have about 7 spots left, so anybody wants to jump in there, just give us an email or jump on our website and reach out to us. We'd love to have you. We've got PNC is bringing their mobile unit for the kids, which is a place where you can kind of explore what your career may be and things like that. It's kind of an activity center, so that's pretty awesome too.
Mike, that's really nice. We do develop an interest for our youth. Sometimes we assumed that they're going to choose something and then they switch, but that's not always the case. And you were telling me before the show that at 15 you got involved in aviation.
I did.
And here you are today, still enjoying it.
Still enjoying it. Yeah, I was 15 years old. I wanted to be a pilot, and my mom and dad said, that's great. Good luck to you. And my grandma actually drove me to Sky Park Airport and Wadsworth Airport, and we met a flight instructor at Wadsworth, and he said, let's go look at an airplane right now. And he just, didn't get paid to do it, didn't get anything out of it, just wanted to go show it and explain the process and all that. Started flying when I was 15, went into the Air Force and flew a bunch of years. But I've always had a love for Wadsworth Airport. I always rented airplanes from there, still rent to this day. Now I have my own kids I take flying, take a bunch of other kids flying with the nonprofit, and just try to give back a little bit to those early mentors that gave something to me.
Any stories? My brother-in-law took a flight through Sky Park, and he says his first time landing, going over the expressway, was a little hairy. Do you have anything that you would add that was a little iffy in your mind?
I don't want to scare people away here, Bruce.
Okay, right, for sure.
I will say one of the coolest flights I ever did was one of my first ones alone. I went to Port Clinton. Landed coming across the water, and checked everything 4 or 5 times.
Right.
And at some point during the flight, I had to reach back and get a different chart out of my bag, and I bumped the parking brake with my knee, and I didn't notice it. And it's not anything on the checklist because you'd never turn the parking brake on while you're flying. So when I landed, the parking brake was just slightly on. So needless to say, my beautiful landing stopped very quickly, and luckily I landed on the part of the runway not many people noticed. But it's just those little things in aviation. You're always looking for things that'll get you like that.
You mentioned earlier in our telecast about safety. Does each balloon have a team that follows them? We don't know about the weather and the wind, and they could be flying off course a little bit. Does each team have a rescue group?
They do. So it's funny you mention that, because a lot of people look at these balloons out flying at an event like this, and it looks like just fun and games. But it's actually valuable training to identify, we want to fly over downtown at this time. What time do we need to leave location? What time do we leave? What heading do we go on? How high up do we go to catch what winds? And so there's a lot of science and STEM stuff behind all the operations. So once they get over their target, they're going to keep in contact with a ground crew that's going to be following them. Once they land, when I landed with the person I flew with, they kept the balloon inflated until the property owners came out and asked, is it okay if we deflate the balloon and a truck comes out here and picks it up, or do we need to take off again and go somewhere else? And so safety and courtesy is always the biggest thing. I know at that time they gave this little voucher to the homeowner that they got entered into a raffle for a gift card for allowing them to use their yard. So the balloon guys are very respectful of everyone's property and privacy.
So you, a couple years ago, were up in a hot air balloon, and what was your experience like? Did you think it was all it was talked about beforehand?
It's very funny. I was on the planning committee for that event, and they told me about an hour before the flight and said, "Hey, you helped us out a lot. Why don't you go on a ride?" I said, "I'm a pilot. And I love flying, but I'm afraid of heights." And I said, I can fall, off a roof. I can fall out of a balloon basket. I can't fall out of an airplane. But I ended up going. I was a little reluctant, and I'm really, really happy I did. The biggest thing I noticed was how surreal it is. There's no wind. There's hardly any noise. You can hear everything from the ground. So it's a really peaceful experience.
What about, Tom, where do some of these balloons come from? I would imagine they're all from Wadsworth. They're people from probably other states, and they probably do this on a regular basis.
Yeah, we have, I think, 3 from Canton, 1 from Akron, 1 from Seville, 1 from Strasburg, 1 from Pennsylvania, Hookstown,
sure.
PA. We have Seville. Yeah, they're all over. We have 12 this year, so they've kind of come from all over. Really, a big shout out to Paul Suttle. People might not know this, but there actually is a title called Balloon Meister, and Paul's position is to arrange all the balloons, get all their certifications, all their flight worthiness certificates, everything that a pilot needs to have to fly. So all of our balloons are top-notch balloons and pilots. So thankful to Paul Suttle and his wife Penny. They have a balloon called Hidden Shamrock, which is on one of the photos. That is a little smiley face in the very top of the balloon. When you're in the basket, you can see it, and when you're inflating it. But
so it sounds like the operators are veterans. They've been around the block a couple times.
Yeah, it sounds
if someone
like it.
wanted to come in for the first time with kind of a questionable balloon, you probably or Mike wouldn't probably let them be an entry, would you?
That's Paul's job.
Okay.
Yeah, he's I think president of the Northeast Ohio Pilots Association.
Right.
So his group does training. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but they get people who want to start into ballooning. they get them into the hobby of flying a balloon. So he's been super valuable. You couldn't do it without a guy like Paul. So.
Mike, it probably is something that you really cherish, that people, a lot of out-of-towners come to Wadsworth for this event. It's something that a lot of other communities, either haven't thought about or, don't really have the checks and, background of doing this. It probably is really good for the city and the image to have all sorts of people coming in, like First Friday, coming in from all over Northeast Ohio and beyond.
Yeah, it's really exciting for the community, and I think everyone's going to enjoy it, one aspect or another, whether it's the people coming to their business, whether it's the balloons, whether it's just people being happy. Balloons, for some reason, make people just happy and smile all day long. It's a majestic thing to watch.
Yeah, you mentioned the merchants. I mean, they might come early to get a meal. They might, again, stay overnight, and it really has a effect on businesses and corporations. And sometimes we forget about that, what an event can do to the businesses in the community.
Right. Yeah, it's a tremendous indirect impact that it's going to have, not only that day, but people are going to see stuff while they're here and think to themselves, hey, I remember seeing that in Wadsworth. Why don't we go back and check that out another day, and maybe meet family and friends at a restaurant here or something like that.
Now, how many people, we have the 12 balloons ready to go for August 4 and 5. How many people would be in the balloon to go up? And it's called, what is it, where we stand in the balloon?
The basket.
The basket.
I call it the basket.
Or gondola.
Or gondola or basket.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How many people could safely be in, and is there a number that's too many?
It's basically based on weight. The FAA
Okay.
has a certified weight limit. The one I went in was supposed to be 3 of us, and the ground handler that was lifting us up, he was supposed to hop in at the last second and go for a ride with us, and he ended up not hopping in time,
Okay.
so we said goodbye.
Did that make you feel a little more nervous?
I had a little more room up there. So
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah. The basket's about, when you're sitting there, you can put your arm up, so there's no way you're falling out. There's a couple propane tanks in there. Obviously, it's aviation, so there's a backup to the backup system. So there's, tons of safety equipment in there. So it's just not a big party and champagne and caviar like you picture in the old French days. And, it's a really, really cool experience and a really cool piece of machinery overall. Just the amount of technology in it.
Yeah. And how high would the apex of a flight be, and then what is the minimum where they go low? You can't go too low. You want to get so the people can see the balloons, but certainly there's probably a limit on both height and how low you can go.
Yep. Yeah, so obviously low is whatever obstacles are out there. When I went, we went up to about 200 or 300 feet. It was just a quick little flight. We went past Doylestown, landed over there. Some of them will go up, a few thousand feet if they want, just to get the wind, because as you go up in altitude, the winds change direction, they change in velocity. So they might go up a little high to catch a wind going a certain direction, then they'll descend back down to catch one going a different way, so they can figure out how to steer it that way.
Tom, it just seems to me, it's just amazing to me how there's so much in Wadsworth collaboration. You mentioned all the sponsors, the groups that are doing it. It just never seems to, it's really amazing how people come together and want this event to be successful.
Yeah, you said it, they want it. They want it for the community. That's how you get a list of sponsors. And the list that we showed there were just our balloon sponsors and higher. We have a whole nother list of probably 20 that have just donated money, $50 to $250 to here, I want to help pay for the pilot meals, or just a lot of different places that the support's coming from. It's been amazing. And the one thing I did find out as we started this track a few months ago is that our businesses really do get tapped a lot for sponsorship. That's the one thing we learned. And we're just so thankful for the ones that have stepped up and said, yeah, we want to support you this year. We're thankful for the ones that have said, can't do it this year, but reach out, in the fall for next year. So it's been amazing, the support.
Well, it seems reciprocal because, if people come early and you haven't launched yet, they could come again and have breakfast. They could go and shop at some of the stores. We have some unique stores downtown, which a lot of communities do not have, and then they could certainly reap the benefits there of your event, just like farmers market. People go and shop and do some other errands around town and buy things, and it's certainly helpful to those businesses, especially just getting rid of over COVID and just trying to get back to normal, if there is such a thing.
Right. Yeah, this hasn't happened since COVID. I mean, 2019 was the last balloons that were here, and so we're really excited to have it, back this year. One of the things that's a little change is that we are charging admission this year to the airport. First Fridays are always free. All the events that are happening down there, which the PNC mobile unit will be down at CIS parking lot. The community band will be down playing in the lawn there at CIS on Friday night also. They're going to have some food trucks down there on Friday night. That's the thing I forgot to mention. We've got about 20 food trucks coming this year, which is about 16 more than were there in 2019. So we're prepared for the big crowd. There were, best estimation, about 9,000 people that came to the airport in 2019. So we're ready for you to come. Cost is $10 per car. So if you get 8 people in your car, get 8 people in your car. But we've got a really good parking plan this year. We've worked with the city. Nick out at the airport has put together, we think, a stellar plan to get people in the airport quickly, because there's still only one entrance. So get there early. Band starts at 3 o'clock. Kids Zone opens at 3 o'clock. Bring your chairs, your blankets, your picnic basket, and come out early and get your spot. And like I said, the music will start. So there's good reason to come early this year to avoid the traffic. And we're trying to do all prepaid tickets. So we've got, if you just go to balloonsoverwadsworth.com, buy tickets, and
I think we have it again on the screen there.
Yep. There's
People
the
can go
website,
there.
and then we've got a QR code. I think the guys can put up there. So scan the code. I'll take you right to our ticketing portal, and again, it's one ticket per car. Because of the space that's down there, it is a landlock. We kind of all know that. The city is limiting us to 2,500 tickets. Okay. So get your tickets, get them early, and we hope to see you there.
Mike, it seems like, again, the City of Wadsworth stepping up and working with the group, and again, they want this event to be successful. And just one more thing they can kind of stick in their hat, one more successful event that they would be involved in, besides 4th of July, Blue Tip, and so many other things that we do.
Yeah, they've always been incredibly supportive of all the events that we've done out there. One thing to piggyback off of what Tom mentioned, you pay $10 per car, and being a parent, I know how it is. You want to pay your one fee, and that's it. Right. So the kids' zones are free. All those other items he mentioned are all free. So the kids will be able to come and go into bounce houses, enjoy things. There's some arts and crafts out there to do. So a lot of fun stuff to do. All the profits and proceeds go into Inspire Aviation, the local nonprofit. We use that money for next year's event, as well as scholarships. So we give away usually 2 to 3 scholarships each year. Learn to Fly scholarships and STEM education scholarships.
Well, that's fantastic. And some of the things you mentioned, getting some of the young people interested in aviation, it's never too early to do that. And again, it may be something that they follow through, even if they're just a casual flyer, and take those classes at Sky Park and go in their business and do that. Or else get into the Air Force, as you did, and make a career of it. Maybe, we're crying for commercial pilots, I understand. Every airline, they're starting their own training program because they don't have enough pilots, as in many occupations. Would you comment about that, about how important it is to get young people involved?
It's huge right now. Just the attrition alone, we can't keep up with, let alone the growth of the industry. And the industry is growing rapidly. Especially with all these international flights and connecting more parts of the world that haven't been connected before. It's just amazing that right now most airlines are hiring pilots minimum time $100,000 a year. And that's triple what it was 5 years ago. I just talked to a UPS captain not long ago. He's making $300,000 a year. And some of these jobs you can get without even going to college. You can get all your license right at Wadsworth, build time as a flight instructor, move on to the airlines, and have a tremendous career.
What would you like the community to know about this event, Mike?
I love the all-volunteer aspect of it. I love that the money stays in the area, and I love that it's promoting all these businesses in town. Bring out more volunteers. We need you.
Tom, any comment to the community, how you really hope that they take advantage of this?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to serve, you can serve with us. Go to our website. There's a volunteer tab.
And what is that website, just to remind people?
Yeah, it's balloonsoverwadsworth.com, and there's a volunteer link. You can get on there, and let's say you're interested in being part of the ground crew for a balloon. That's an option. You just check the box, and that's what will get you to help actually with the inflation of a balloon, and maybe even on the chase team. We still can use a little bit of help in terms of sponsorships. We've got a couple more meals that we're trying to cover for the pilots, which we will. So we could use some help there. If there's any business that wants to promote their business, like I said, we have 7 spots open for the Jazzercise Vendor Village that you can sign up for. That one, just email us and we'll get you the link. That's actually a separate link. And then one other thing that Mike could talk about if we have the time, we are doing helicopter rides this year and airplane rides.
Well, that would be great. Mike, you want to comment briefly?
Yeah, so about every hour, we have some T-34s, old military trainers, who go up and circle the city in formation with the smoke on. They flew over the Blue Tip parade. So it'll be the same type of airplane, so we don't want anybody to be alarmed if they see that. That's normal for these guys to operate that way.
Okay.
The helicopter is about $50 a person. It's going to be a short flight, probably up over downtown, maybe the north end of town. Just a quick scenic flight, and so if you've ever had a bucket list item to go on a helicopter ride, this is your chance. And
well, it sounds like an array of different activities for young and old and those middle agers, all sorts of things. And gentlemen, I learned a lot. I do these shows because I learn and acquire information, and we can pass this on, and I'm sure we can go ahead and inform the community. And the 4th and 5th of August, Balloons over Wadsworth. Thanks for viewing, and we will have another show in a couple weeks. Thanks so much.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.